publisher of the Night Report on Rivals.com, Richard Schnyderite, and beat reporter Chris Nalwasky of the Night Report on Rivals.com. How's it going, guys?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Interesting week coming up here with Michigan.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. It should be fun.
Yeah, big time game. Unfortunately, we've had some bad news that kind of came out of left field this week. Arguably the best player on defense, Max Melton, got caught up in a paint gun police arrest. Guys, this obviously has a huge effect on our defense. Tell us a little bit more about this incident and how you think it's going to affect the team going into Michigan.
I guess I'll just take it away from there. Obviously, it was some kind of paintball incident where they hit a couple students or people in general on Livingston campus. I'm assuming we don't have the full police report yet, so we don't really know 100% details, but going based off what we know, I'm assuming it was just random out of nowhere. I'm assuming the people or the victims at this point reported it to police and went back to Schiano at some point. And then Schiano had no other option. I think you had to suspend the guys immediately. You can't be driving around on campus just shooting people with paintballs. It's crazy to say, but yeah, losing Max Melton hurts a ton. Chris Long, not as much, just because he's not a contributor really. He's still a freshman technically because last season didn't count and all that nonsense, but different story. But Max Melton's got 2 interceptions, leading the team with that, leading the team in pass deflection so far. So it definitely this defense takes a pretty big hit here.
Yeah, for sure. It was like you alluded to, it was a little bit of a shock. Max Melton, come from a good family. I'm not sure exactly what happened until the full details come out, but it's a big loss for Rutgers, especially with Big Ten play coming up. I know Michigan, kind of likes to run the ball a lot, but obviously having a good secondary is always useful. And it just wasn't smart. That's the only thing you could really say about it. It wasn't smart. It wasn't ideal. I guess it's a bad look, I guess, overall.
It was stupid. Just say it.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Yeah. It's ironic because I wasn't on the boards that day, but I went to ESPN.com and I saw it as a headline and I was like, oh my God. Like, I think the biggest impact could possibly be the distraction that it causes, that it's going to be something they all have to answer questions about. Schiano kind of had to deal with it during game prep this week, like going down and getting information, his staff getting information on it. Just not a good look going into a big game with all the momentum we have positively going towards the season. Yeah. Just a shame.
That's a good point because Rutgers is 3-0. They were rolling, and Rutgers is playing Michigan. In a big game. A game that matters for the first time in a long time. And like you said, just a distraction. I think everyone's kind of moved past it, and people are going to step up and whatnot, but it's just something that the program really didn't need when everything was on the upswing so far this year.
That's the crazy thing. I can almost bet on this. That first question, no matter what the end game or ending score is of Michigan Rutgers, is going to be about Max Melton and Chris Long. It doesn't even matter what the score is.
Yep.
And that's the distraction right there that you were talking about. It hurts a lot. And you're losing, like I said before, you're losing your top corner, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and how do you replace that? That's a big question mark. I mean, Kassan Abrams stepped up a little bit, but he's mostly a slot corner. He's kind of shorter. I think he's 5'8", 5'9" around.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the prototypical cornerback that Schiano and Fran Brown like, but I don't know what you do. You just kind of, I guess, pray at this point that Patrice Rene can be healthy for this game.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I know you talked to Max. I think that was last week.
I know. People tell me I'm a jinx.
I know about. I asked you. I know about Max also. Somebody else asked about Max literally that same day earlier. I guess it was Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a shame, honestly. And Chris Long, he's only played really special teams so far this year, but he was a good player in high school. I saw him in high school, so we'll see what happens. I doubt they would play this week, but going forward, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, and the biggest shame of it, and this will kind of roll into our recap of Delaware, is we probably played our most complete game of the year against Delaware. And I kind of look at it like the NFL has preseason games. College, you try and pad your early schedule with some games to kind of get you acclimated for conference play. And so I felt like we were really kind of gelling together as a team, getting things moving in the right direction, especially on offense. Guys, let's talk a little bit about your recap of Delaware, what you thought we did good, what you thought we did bad, and how that affects things moving into the Michigan game.
It's all you to start, Chris.
So yeah, obviously the offense kind of broke out a little bit. They started doing more, long throws, and they connected on them. Vedral threw for 323 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He had a long one to Bill Melton, and the other one was to Brandon Sanders. There's a long throw wide open over the middle of the field. I like Brandon Sanders. I was high on him coming, from seeing him in training camps. That was really good to see. They have a lot of good depth at receiver this year. But yeah, the offense kind of broke out. The defense, the run defense wasn't the greatest, which is kind of, I'm sure we'll touch on again later when it comes to Michigan talk. But the defense overall played well, held a pretty good Delaware team to 13 points. Yeah, the offense just played well. It was like 35-10 or so at halftime. It kind of eased from there. So yeah, Noah looked good. He still hasn't thrown a pick. I guess knock on wood for him in the program. They have, Rutgers doesn't have a turnover in general, which is, they actually lead the country in turnover margin. So that's huge. They always stress balls the program, and they really took that to heart. So.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Sanders was the big surprise, I guess, of the group. But it shouldn't really come as a surprise. The guy killed it at Bucknell. I know it's Patriot League, but still, to be a receiver and put up 600 yards as a junior or sophomore at Bucknell. And then last year, I think they played 4 to 5 games during the COVID season, and he still put up, I think, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, whatever it was. But other than that, Noah Vedral looked very good, looked very accurate. But I want to give a shout out to my man Johnny Langan, aka Taysom Hill. This man does everything. Plays tight end, plays receiver, plays tailback, H-back, whatever you want to call it, plays quarterback. What was it? 3, I'm looking right now, 3 catches for 42 yards. This man's nuts. He could do it all.
Yeah, he's catching balls over the middle. He's making some really difficult catches against linebackers that you wouldn't expect from a quarterback.
It's insane. And it goes back to Sean Gleason's offense at the Princeton days. I think, I forget what his first name was, but I think his last name was Lovett. Ended up, he played quarterback for them, played a little H-back like Johnny Langan's doing, and actually made a career out of it and played for the Vikings for a couple years too. So
yeah, I think he transitioned to an like you said, an H-back.
Langan might have a future in this new NFL. Hey, Taysom Hill did it. So,
yeah.
That's probably what Gleason sold him on was, hey, I've done this before. I got guys in the NFL. Even just 3 years in the NFL could set you up pretty nicely for moving forward.
Even the practice squad pays pretty well. It's
I
crazy.
think the practice squad's like $100K a year just to get beat up on.
Hey, I'll do it. Sign me up right now.
Yep.
But yeah, hell of a game. Offense looked great. Defense looked solid. There's nothing really else to say there.
Yeah, and they did what they needed to do. Obviously the whole talk was about FCS teams. 8 FCS teams beat FBS teams the first couple of weeks. Rutgers didn't take Delaware lightly, and and the message got through from the coaches. Nobody took them lightly, and Rutgers 3-0 for the first time since 2012, which is huge. Halfway to a bowl game with a Big Ten schedule coming up.
Yeah, I think the thing that impressed me most is that sometimes we go into these games and kind of play down to our opponents, but from the jump, we looked prepared. We looked like we weren't going to take our foot off their throat. We just dominated them through the entire game. We dominated them on the trenches, which you don't really see from Rutgers teams in recent memory. So it was just a game that was never in doubt. We dominated throughout, and we got some guys in for cleanup time at the end, which I think we're all hoping to see the backup quarterback situation play out. So it was nice for the boards to kind of finally know that it's going to be Cole Snyder probably coming in as the second quarterback.
No comment.
No comment. Yeah, I know you guys can't talk about it, but based on the film, that might be the way things go. So we had a bunch of.
Put it like this real quick. Cole Snyder is 5 of 5 in his career. The man might be the best quarterback on the roster. I'm not starting that. But hey, 2 of 2 for Penn State, 3 of 3 Delaware, or 2 of 2 Delaware, whatever it was. It's in the conversation.
Yep.
Conversation.
So I know we had a tentative list of recruits that were supposed to be at that game. It seems like a few of the big names didn't end up making it. Richie, you want to give us a little quick recruiting update about what's going on with the program?
Yeah, let me pull up the list real quick. I had it a second ago. All the top, I guess you shouldn't say the top names, but names the most notable one was probably Thomas Amankwa, who ended up getting an offer before the game and ended up committing after the game. So it was kind of interesting to see. But he's a pretty nice, lengthy cornerback. Like I said before, Shiano and Fran Brown love those lengthy cornerbacks. They like the guys that are 6 foot tall or taller. But he's a really good player. He plays at Hillsborough. He's actually dominating this season. He's putting up crazy numbers between playing receiver, running back, and even on defense, he's been looking pretty good. I actually saw him at a camp back in, I want to say March or April, and it was Zone 6 camp, I believe it was. And he looked really good. He actually caught my eye. I put him in one of our notebooks that we post after every camp. And I wasn't 100% sold if he was a Power 5 guy or not, but after watching him tape, I guess, for the first couple games of the season, he's 100% that guy. And I think that's the biggest reason why Rutgers saw and Rutgers offered him. But other than him, it's basically all the same names that usually show up. Taj White's basically the ringleader of this class. He's, I know most people I've talked to have said he has a huge following among the Chop 22 class. He more than likely is probably a 3-year starter, maybe 4. Yeah, probably I'll go with 3-year starter down the line. He's got to develop a little more, but he's a good player. Other than that, the class is going to be small. I think there's 15, 16 kids in it currently. It's going to be small regardless. Looking now, 15 kids, technically 16 if you count Wimsatt, who came in already. But they probably might add 1 to 2 more kids. Amari Evans is probably the top target at the moment. He wide receiver out of Texas, speedster. I think he runs a 4.3 laser, which is insane to say, but he was at Penn State this weekend. So it's a battle again between that Rutgers Penn State thing, which is nice to see for a change instead of the Ash days where you're competing against the Temples and Delawares of the world. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. It's real quiet during the season. They kind of focus on the team and stuff. No, not as much like in terms of offers and all that other nonsense, I guess, that comes with recruiting.
Yeah, it seems like there's a big recruiting weekend coming up for the other sports on October 2nd.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any updates about like a basketball visitor list coming for October 2nd or other than the names that I reported.
I think I ended up posting it yesterday. I had a whole notebook between who's visiting and who's already visited. They're targeting actually a football recruit that out of Ohio, I believe it is, Antoine Wolfolk. He has a Power 5 offer in Boston College for football. Then
he's the dual sport kid.
Yeah, yep. And the guy's I'm intrigued because they offered him after a Peach Jam event this summer, and he looks like, based on film, he looks like just a big body down low who's not afraid to bang with the big man. He's a little smaller at 6'8", 6'7" maybe, but he's a solid like 240, 250 around there, and he's not afraid to push people around. And people have to get over the 7-foot thing. It's not like a thing anymore in terms of hoops. So putting a 6'8" guy down there is going to work perfectly fine, in my opinion. Look at EJ Liddell at Ohio State. And I think that's the perfect example here. But other than that, there's got a couple guys. I'm looking at Braden Moore, who's committed, is going to visit in a couple weeks. Gus Yalden, who I think we reported is going to take an official visit on October 1st. Number 73 in the class of 2023, aka Baby Jokic, as people call him.
Yeah.
You ever seen Nikola Jokic play? He's the same exact player, and it's insane to watch. He's got handles for a 6'9" big man. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet. They got Derek Simpson committed, who I don't know if you guys saw the highlight on Twitter.
The dunk, right?
Throwing down crazy dunks and these little open runs and stuff. It's crazy. This, as much as this class people like to say it's underrated, it's really underrated. I feel like these guys could actually could play in the Big Ten almost on day one. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, Pike's recruits typically don't have the same recruiting rankings, but he always seems to develop these guys nicely. And I think people always forget that. And I think they were criticizing his class last year a little too harshly, too early, because we needed some early contributions in the mid part of the season. But
you can't.
I trust Pike.
Yeah, no, 100%. You can't expect guys to come in immediately, especially when you have a 9-man rotation pretty much set already. Like, what do you want? A 14-man rotation? Like,
yeah. And they didn't have the non-conference games or anything like that. So
yeah,
that also hurts, and that's where those guys you'll probably see a lot of them playing. But it is what it is. Like I said, the only guy I do see coming in this year and contributing immediately is Jalen Miller. I've posted on the boards about this kid for over a year, ever since he committed. He's good. He's really good. Mm-hmm. Good handles, can drive, can kick, can even shoot the three pretty well. But I think his best trait is probably his defense, which is again back to Pike. Pike loves his
that's
defense.
a Pike recruit right there. Yep, no doubt.
So he's going to contribute from day one. But this team, I like that team again. This team's going to have a good year.
Yeah, I think what you were saying about Jaden Jones, I'm sorry, is also kind of like the he's almost like the ace in the hole this year. I think I agree that he's going to make a huge impact on the scoring of this team. He's massive. He can shoot. Like he's a guy that
I was talking about Jalen Miller.
Oh no! So I think it was either you or somebody else was talking about being like super high on Jaden Jones
too. I think Jones is a top 3 scorer.
Yeah, he hyped them both up. Yeah,
I hype them both up, but I get them confused all the time. Jalen Miller is going to be a contributor. Jaden Jones will be a top 3 scorer on this team by the end of the season, 100%.
Yeah, I think he truly brings like a unique piece to this offense that Pike hasn't had before with his length and with his ability to shoot. Like fits right in.
Who else is 6'8", can dribble like that, can dunk like that, and can shoot like that?
Yeah.
There's not many out there.
Yeah.
But we got to get back to football, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you going into all this. Let's preview the Michigan game. So Michigan, they're ranked number 19 in the country. They're 3-0. They've dismantled their first 3 opponents, including a Power 5 team in Washington, who's kind of having a down year. But they've been dominant. They're the number 1 rushing team in the country. They've got PFF's number 1 ranked running back. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about what they do well, what they could possibly be exploited on? Let's talk about Michigan.
Yeah. So, like you said, they lead the nation with 350 rushing yards per game. Blake Corum has 7 touchdowns. They also have Hassan Haskins, who ran for over 100 yards against Rutgers last year. I talked to Mike Tverdov yesterday about that. And, they know they have 2 really dynamic backs, as they call them. They're going to have the work cut out for them. Rutgers' weakness, I guess you could say, is the run defense. So, it'll be interesting to see, but it seems like they're also excited and, they'll get up for the matchup. And also last year, the quarterback, Cade McNamara, he threw for I think it was 260 yards against Rutgers off the bench. He didn't start, but he still threw.
Yeah, that was by far his career best game was against us.
Yeah, I think Rutgers had like a big lead in the first half, and he came in and led them to the triple overtime win, which I think obviously Rutgers let that game slip away from it, from them. But they lean on the run game this year. It'll be interesting to see if like Rutgers started throwing the ball deep down the field against Delaware. If Michigan, try to surprise, Rutgers the same way, especially with, Max Milton out. So it'd be interesting to see. They have really, they have obviously a really good running game. So I mean, Michigan's back. It seems like, Michigan, everybody in the program is really high on the team this year. And, this might be kind of like a bold statement, but I think Rutgers is going to have the most trouble with Michigan than Ohio State, just because of, their styles and, what Michigan does so well. And Ohio State's been kind of up and down a little bit this year. Obviously, they're so super talented, but it's just the run game, I think makes a difference.
I'm saying the same thing. Yeah. I think being on the road, playing this team that matches up really well against us, we kind of need to thread the needle to beat them, honestly, because we're going to need big plays. Like they're pretty exploitable with big plays. They allowed 4 20+ yard receptions to Western Michigan. They allowed 15+ yard receptions against Washington. Basically, what we need is like an explosive play or 2 in the kicking game. We need long passes. We need to put them in a position where they need to throw, because Cade McNamara, he's played well this year, but he's only had to throw 37 times.
Yep.
He's only made like 4 starts in his career. He's still pretty green. So if we put them in a hole early and make them pass, that's really our only chance. Because if they get up 7-14 or whatever in the first quarter and they can just run against us, they're going to wear us down. We have no chance.
And it goes back to the turnovers that I mentioned earlier. The defense has to cause turnovers, and Rutgers can't turn the ball over themselves. Also in terms of penalties, Rutgers is basically at the top of the country with almost the least amount of penalties in the country, which is also a good thing. They're not shooting themselves in the foot, which has also allowed them to be 3-0, and Rutgers need to keep that going against Michigan too.
Yeah, I think you guys hit on just about everything. I know we saw like an early glimpse of Rutgers rush defense against 3, maybe I'll say it, they're 3 shit teams, to be honest. But it's hard to judge because they've only given up like 113 yards per average per game on rushing yards. Last year, this is a team that gave over 204 rushing yards per game. You're going against easily the best rushing attack in the country, and Corum and Haskins.
Yeah.
They average 7.2 yards per carry as a team. Like it's a scary thought, because if this rush defense is not good, then it's like you're done. They're going to control the tempo of the game, and then that's game over. That's why, like, I hate to say it, but that spread that's actually was at 19, it's at 20 now, in favor of Michigan. I probably take Michigan, and I'd probably take the points just because it's such a good matchup for Michigan.
For sure.
And,
and obviously they recruit well on the offensive line, and those guys are big and talented. And, if you have a good line, Rutgers has good starters on the D line, but once you get, they're not there to compete yet in terms of depth. So that'd be interesting.
Let's not forget Michigan's defense is really, really good, and they're led by Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end / tackle / other end, because they move them around all the time, is going to cause havoc for an offensive line that is still not complete pretty much, because we've seen 3 different combos of tackles in 3 different games against, like I said, shit teams. So it's like,
yeah, that's got to be the number one focus. Game planning is finding a way to contain him, because he's got 3.5 of their 5 sacks. Like, he's ranked like the number 1 edge defender in the FBS on PFF. Like, he's a monster. He's gonna be a first round pick. If you let him get into the backfield multiple times, it's gonna be a long day.
And I don't know. I think if you're Michigan, you kind of just alternate and say, like, all right, who's struggling today? Is it Bordner, or is it O'Neal, or is it Pierce? And you kind of just pick and choose and be like, all right, Bordner just struggled. Throw it at him. All right, go back to the other side and go mess with Pierce a little bit. So I don't know. And then they put him on the interior at times too. So it's like, go mess around with Palliant or Sutton or someone. Like, geez.
I mean, Cedrice Palliant has been, I think he's Rutgers, top rated lineman right now.
Yeah, it's either him or Sutton.
Like, or Sutton. Yeah, one of those 2 guys. So they've played well. But Holland Pierce he was a walk-on last year. He's only started to play in a couple of games. He's raw. Hasn't played a lot. So I could see Michigan attacking him. But I could see also Bordner maybe starting at right tackle this year and putting back O'Neal, just because they have more experience, and maybe that might help a little bit. But yeah, he's someone asked Noah Vedral about Hutchinson yesterday and how he moves around, and they have to make sure they know where he is on every play. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. He's a heck of a player.
I got nothing else to say. I think Michigan's just a hell of a team this year, and there's nothing else. Their defense is top 10 in points per game, opposing points per game. Offense is top 10 in points per game. I think number 3 actually. So it's not a good matchup
for sure.
Definitely. I think one of the more disheartening things is against the Delaware run game, we did miss a lot of tackles, and that cannot happen against Michigan. If we're missing tackles, the game's over in the first quarter. Like, we need to be sound, and it sucks that we lose one of our best tacklers in the secondary, in Max Milton. That kind of coming back to that, because they get to the second level, he was a guy you could kind of count on there.
Yeah, I have an article coming out about the run defense. Again, I talked to Avery Young about the secondary, coming in and making tackles at the line of scrimmage. So, he and the rest of the defensive backs understand that, they have a job to do. They have to fit in the holes and whatnot and help out in the run game. So, yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting. Michigan's run game is really strong. So
the only interesting part, and I don't know how much you guys like to use or swear by PFF. I like it quite a bit, but
I really like PFF.
Because Vaughn Abrams, the top tackler grade on the team right now. So it's like, hey, if he could fill in, it's like,
he's been excellent, man. Like, he's probably the unsung hero of our defense. Like, Michiano just does so many like awesome things with defensive backs. Like, all of those guys have gotten so much better. Izzian, Avery Young.
I did not think Izzian would be this good. Izzian,
I didn't either. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. But also looking at coverage grades, Max Melton number 1, Giovanni Rescigno number 2. So it's like he could step up. He's not a friend. Shiano said it on Monday. He might not have the size, but he'll fight tooth and nail for that ball. So I mean,
absolutely.
And Abraham hasn't played, the amount of snaps as other guys have played. It'll be interesting. I'm not sure if Patrice Rene will be able to play in this game, but
who knows?
Yeah.
But what else we got?
So I think we have a guest for this podcast.
Let's try to add him real quick. Right, give me 1 second.
You might all be very familiar with if you've been following Rutgers for the last 10 years.
Yep. He's played from 2014 to 2018, I believe it was. A little bit of a fan favorite. So
easily. Backup quarterback's always a fan favorite.
Well, he was a
and
starter too. Let's give him a little more
he
respect.
honestly shouldn't have been the backup. So I mean, I figured I was going to try and match him about that.
Man, he could have fit in so well with this team too, with how they run their offense.
And it kind of like brings in a little like Michigan type Rutgers type thing a little bit, sort of, kind of, if he joins anytime soon.
I hope you guys have all guessed who this guy is at this point.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's gonna take it. I don't know. I sent it to him. Wait a minute. I don't think you're ready yet. But either way, going back to this Michigan team. It's going to be interesting. Or I guess going back to the Rutgers defense, even it's going to be interesting to see how they combat this rushing attack. Like I'm looking right now, the highest rushing grade or rushing defense grade is Toure, Ahanatou, Young, and then Battle.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, maybe you see more Battle out there. Maybe you'll see more Drew Singleton, like we mentioned on the boards. You probably can't do your nickel defense that you always.
No,
run.
I think they're gonna go 4-3 with
especially lose a
Fogg in there.
cornerback. Like
Yeah.
Ahanatou is actually our highest rated player on PFF. He's like the 30th ranked defensive tackle. And I think that's kind of buoyed from his performance at Syracuse, where he just had like 3 or 4 splash plays, especially that one sack strip fumble he had.
Yeah, dominated. Absolutely, like big time.
Yep.
Battle's the number 2 ranked, which I just noticed. Wow, that's 18 snaps. I mean, there's the picture and everything. Gio.
Yo, what's going on, Gio?
Guys?
What's going on, man?
Thanks for
Nothing
hopping
much,
on, man.
nothing
Appreciate
much.
that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you, we're recording already.
Okay, great.
Hey,
Yeah, we have joining with us Giovanni Rescigno, former Rutgers starting quarterback. How's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going really well. How are you guys?
yeah, can't complain. Is
Yeah,
it? Hey, is it Rescigno? I always thought it was Rescigno.
Rashinho, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
man.
I do know. I'm good.
Damn, sorry, dude. I messed that up.
No worries.
So, Gio, what have you been up to?
So I've actually been out in Europe playing football this whole year. So I started in Italy in February, and then I went to Germany in the summer, and we are finishing our season here in the next couple of weeks. So I've been out here grinding out here. It's been a good experience. So enjoying doing that, which has been a good time. So it's been fun.
Damn.
What team do you play for? And how's the season going?
Yeah, so team's called Potsdam Royals, just outside of Berlin in Germany. We have the semifinals on Saturday, so that should be a pretty good game, and then hopefully we make it to the finals, and that should be pretty cool. So we'll see. Yeah.
Damn. Do you win an MVP?
What's the
or
football
what?
culture like in Europe? I know they used to have the NFL Europe in mostly Germany.
Yeah.
Is it still pretty thriving over there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Germany a little bit more than Italy, definitely. We have a lot of fans of the game. We have like 2,000, 3,000 fans of the game, which is pretty cool. And they're loud, and they love football out here, which is great. And the competition's pretty good. We have some good players out here. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Who wants to take it away?
So I guess going back to your time as a recruit, obviously you went to Rutgers. What was that recruiting process like? And just what was that like for you?
Yeah, man, the recruiting process was crazy for me because I went on an official visit 2 weeks before signing day, and I had no offers at the time. So I was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I didn't know where I was going to go to school. And obviously I was kind of waiting for that, Division I offer. Because at that time, like going D1 was like the only thing we cared about was going D1. So I went to Rutgers 2 weeks before signing day. And I remember there was another quarterback there. So I was like, oh man, it's me and another quarterback. And we were kind of doing, going through the whole official visits and going, whatever we had to do throughout the week. And then, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it, obviously. And then it was the last Sunday that I was there, I was called into Coach Flood's office, and then he offered me a scholarship and I committed on the spot. So it was kind of, quick like that, 2 weeks before signing day. And then it kind of just happened to be, a good thing for me, good thing for my family. And it just, obviously, you guys know I enjoyed my time there a lot. And it's just crazy how that kind of went with 2 weeks before signing day. So it's pretty cool.
So Gio, you played for both Chris Ash and Kyle Flood. I can't even talk. Geez.
Yep.
Just talk a little bit about that. And obviously, like I guess under both coaching staffs, you were the backup at the beginning of the season, and all of a sudden backup starter. And it's like, how crazy was that whole process?
Yeah, so playing for Coach Flo was great. Obviously he's a great guy. He's a great football coach, and I'm so happy that he's doing well now. At Texas, it's awesome to see.
Mm.
I wish I had more time, to be with him and under his staff, because I really never got to play under him. Because after my sophomore year, obviously, we had the coaching change, so I wasn't able to play for Coach Flood. So, I wish I kind of had the opportunity, but at the time I was so young and so immature. Like, even looking back on it, I wish, everyone, wishes they can go back and do things different, and just the way I approach things. But at the time I was 18, 19 years old. So it was kind of tough. And then I felt like as Coach Ash came, I was getting more mature. I was understanding how to put in extra work, how to watch film, kind of just how to attack playing college football at a high level. So I think, as the coaching change happened, and then, a big part for me was, the weight room. Like, having Coach Parker come in was a huge thing. And I think a lot of guys can say the same thing that spent time with him, is he was a big asset for a lot of us, and being in the weight room was a big thing for me. So, like, with the coaching staff changes, it was, good and bad for both. I mean, obviously you don't want to have coaching changes. And for me at the quarterback position specifically, having 5 offensive coordinators is not fun. Like, it's just not fun. It just sucks, having to learn new offense every single season. So, that's why I'm kind of happy about the situation now with the guys there. I mean, they don't have to learn a new offense this year. It was, it's the same offense from last year. And that's great for a quarterback. Like, that's awesome. So I'm jealous of that fact for sure. Yeah, but back to the playing thing, just, it happened to be, I had to have patience, and I had to wait my turn, and I just had to stay ready, and just kind of, how I carried myself was just, I just wait for my turn and just play ball. So, yeah.
All right, real quick, based off of that comment you made before, who's your favorite out of the 5?
Who's my favorite out of the 5?
Out of the 5 OCs, who was the best one?
Well, I started off pretty good with Ralph Friesian. He was interesting for sure. He was interesting. And I wish I had more time with him, because like, he was just a true football coach. Like, I just remember so specifically, like, having meetings with him, and just how he was in the meeting room was just really cool. So I wish I had more time with him, but they all were great. And then obviously next year, Coach McDaniels did a really good job. He's a really smart coach. And, I kind of wish I had more time with all of them at the same time. Coach Keel was a great guy. Coach Keel was an awesome guy to be around. I enjoyed being around him, being in the meetings with him, and even Coach Maringer, because Coach Maringer was a young OC. So like, we obviously got along really well, just because he was a lot younger. He was in his late 20s when he was an offensive coordinator in the Big Ten. Like, that's crazy. So, he was great to be around. And obviously Coach McNulty, my last season, he was great too. And so it's kind of tough, because you like all of them, and you only get like a year with them. And then, so, yeah.
Yeah, damn, crazy. Chris?
Yeah, so obviously, on this podcast, on this video, we're kind of previewing Michigan. Your redshirt freshman season, your redshirt year in 2014. Rutgers' first year in the Big Ten, they're playing Michigan. It was a blackout, and they got the win. Just thinking back, what was the atmosphere like? What was that game like for you watching it?
Yeah, that's a great memory I have. At the time, the red shirts weren't dressing. I know Coach Shiano's doing the same thing with them now. I saw that. So back then, yeah, we weren't dressed. So I was just in a jumpsuit on the side, and I just remember the atmosphere was awesome. It was a great game. I remember Gary Nova's touchdown pass he threw when he should have got sacked. He got away from him somehow.
Yeah, he got away from Frank Clark there.
Yeah, from Frank Clark. Yeah, I remember that, and that was awesome. And then obviously, I mean, the blocked field goal. I mean, we all remember that. I mean, it's a great game. It's one of my good memories from that year. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was the last time we went to a bowl, and also the last time that there was a field storming at Rutgers. So
is that the last time? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like we're gonna have some more coming up soon, though.
I feel it too.
About this. Yeah.
You still watch college? You still watch Rutgers at all, Gio?
Oh yeah, of course. I feel like, I gotta watch. It's like my team now. It's like one of my, like, I'm a big Titans fan. Like, I watch the Titans like I watch Rutgers now. Like, I just, I gotta watch the game. And I'm cheering like I'm on the sideline still. So it's, still part of me. And it's crazy because I feel like I was just there yesterday, but at the same time, it's already been, 3 years now. It's kind of crazy. So time's flying by, but I still feel like I was just there yesterday.
How'd you become a Titans fan?
I was born in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
So that's the only thing that stuck with me was the Titans. Everything else, Detroit. But yeah, Titans stuck with me. So I'm a big Titans fan. Yeah.
Okay.
So
When was
got-
the last? When
Go on.
was the last time you were on campus? Was it when you graduated, Joe,
Last time I was
or
there
at the game or
was-
anything?
Yeah, I went to the Boston College game 2019.
Okay.
I was there. That was my last game I've been to. Well, actually, that's not true. I went to the Michigan State last year, the opener for the COVID season. I was at that game.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool game to go to, especially because it was in Shiano era, so everyone's all hyped up, and then we happened to kick their butt and like crazy turnovers. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I wish I was able to go this weekend, obviously to the game this weekend, but I'm still out here, so yeah.
So
Who are some of the guys you played with that you still keep in touch with?
A good amount of guys I still keep in touch with. Obviously through Twitter and Instagram makes it easier, just kind of keeping in touch with guys like, Rob Martin, Zach Heeman, Marcus Applefield, like a lot of those guys that we still talk. And, I made great relationships when I was at RU. So it's cool to keep in touch with those guys still. And, so a lot of guys I still keep in touch with.
Give me a crazy story, either practice or game or even off the field. Give me a crazy story about your experience at Rutgers. There's got to be something.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's just I feel like my memory nowadays is just going downhill. I don't know if it's playing football too long or not, but
Playing behind that offensive line.
Yeah, well, one thing I can say, when we first got to Rutgers, we had Jeremy Cole as our strength coach, and
Yeah.
my gosh, as a freshman coming in, like we have no idea what's going on. We got absolutely killed in the weight room by Coach Cole. Okay, you wouldn't let us listen to music. It was just crazy. So like as a freshman coming in, you're like, holy crap, like this is crazy. And it was 6 a.m. lifts, and we're all just like, we don't want to go to these 6 a.m. lifts, so it was those were some crazy times, and my first couple of years there, just because you're just not used to playing at that level and being in the weight room and having that energy. So like having Coach Cole as a strength coach was pretty cool at the time, but like looking back on it, like some of the stuff we did was just wild as freshmen, just like what we were put through and stuff. But I guess it's all for the better. But yeah, I'm sure I have a lot more stories. Just it's tough to think on the spot, to be honest.
I hear you.
What was your did you have like a go-to restaurant or meal that you always like to get around?
I'm a big wing guy. Like I love wings. So Wings Over Rutgers like had my order down like without even me placing the order. They knew. So yeah. Me and Zach Allen too. Zach Allen, the quarterback, he's a big wing guy too. So we were Wings Over all the time. Yeah, Wings Over is my spot. And obviously Hansel. I mean, we can't go wrong with that either.
Damn, everyone says Hansel.
Yeah.
Where was
That's
your
my favorite.
favorite place to go out? Like bar, club?
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I wasn't a big going out guy. I wasn't a big going out guy. So
Starting quarterback.
I know.
Get all the girls like.
I met my girlfriend before. I met my girlfriend in my sophomore year, so I wasn't even playing at the time. And then when I started playing, I was just kind of locked into playing, and I didn't really end up going out too much. And obviously, when I was a freshman, I wasn't old enough to go to the bars. So I mean,
Oh yeah, no such thing as underage drinking.
no such thing.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really go out, guys. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, but it was just more of like hanging out with the guys, or hanging out at the house or stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
So go on. You're good.
Oh, good. You talking? Good.
All right. So obviously you're from Michigan. Go Blue
Yeah.
or?
Hell no.
Hey, I know you're Rutgers
No,
alum, but I'm
can't
trying
do
to
it.
figure out. You had to grow
So
up
growing-
liking one of them.
So growing up, I preferred Michigan State over Michigan. Like we used to
Ooh.
do recess. Recess was a big thing. Like Michigan State fans versus Michigan, and I was always on the Michigan State side. Never liked
Nice.
Michigan just because.
It's like
you
you
know,
and
the
like two
fans-
others, and then like 40 or like.
Pretty much, yeah. The Michigan fans definitely outweigh the Michigan State fans. But like, back home, it's just like being Michigan fans. Like growing up, if you're not a Michigan fan, like there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of what we like to call Walmart Wolverines. Is like
Walmart.
Oh, that's a big term we use back home. Walmart Wolverines, and they got the Michigan gear and stuff like that. So I was never really for Michigan, so I was more for Michigan State. But obviously, as I got older, stuff like that. But I was a Vols fan. So the kind of the Tennessee Vols and the Titans. Like I wanted to go to Tennessee so bad growing up. I was the biggest fan. But obviously, once I got to college, like that kind of died once I went to RU. But we don't like Michigan. I don't like Michigan at least.
So was it like a big culture shock going from Michigan to New Jersey?
Not really. So the crazy thing is, when my dad came over from Italy when he was young, when he moved from Italy to
I didn't
America,
think
he
about
lived
that.
in Jersey for 4 years. He lived right in
Oh,
Jersey
really?
City for 4 years. So
Huh.
we used to come out here all the time to visit his aunt. So we used to come out here for vacation or just to hang out to visit his aunt. So I was familiar with New Jersey, familiar with the New York area. So that's kind of why, it kind of worked out like that. Why, like I said, my family was happy with me coming out there. And so it's kind of crazy how that worked out. But yeah, there wasn't too much of a culture shock, even though it is much different than Michigan. It's much, much different. So it wasn't necessarily crazy for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
What you guys got? Anything else before we indulge into these games? This game?
No, I'm all good. I'm all set.
All right.
yeah.
So I mean, Mike, take it away.
So we're going to do a little bit of a prediction portion of this. First, we're going to go around the Big Ten. Then we're going to hit up with Rutgers. So the first game in the Big Ten this weekend is Villanova at number 6 Penn State. Penn State's a 29.5-point favorite there. I think Penn State wins this one pretty easily. I don't think there's going to be much discourse on this one, but what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Well-
I agree. They're coming off of a nice win over Auburn last week. I'll go Penn State. Obviously, Villanova's FCS, so I'll go Penn State.
It's all you, Gio.
Yeah, I'll take the Pennsylvania team too. I mean, they play good versus Auburn.
Pennsylvania team.
Okay.
They have a good quarterback. I like their quarterback. I think he's a good player. Yeah, definitely take
Wait,
them this week for sure.
Before we move on, Gio, so I know you mentioned the Pennsylvania team.
TTFP.
When Coach Flood started doing that, what'd you think about that?
No, I just think it's all fun. I mean, it just adds to the experience. Like, everyone loves Penn State week, obviously. Like, we as fans love it, and as
Call it
players
a
we love
rivalry.
it. So, like,
You say it's a rivalry.
I don't mind saying it's a rivalry. I know they don't like to say it, like they don't think it's a rivalry, but I mean, we played there in 2015. They had the whiteout game for us for 2015. It was a night game. Like, we have some good games versus them, even though we haven't had too much success the past couple of years. But like, I mean, it's a big game for both sides, I think. So yeah, I think it was pretty cool.
I still can't believe we lost that game in 2014 to them. That was also your freshman or redshirt year.
Yeah, the fact that Gary threw 5 interceptions, I think, if I remember correctly, that game, he still almost
We lost
won.
by 3. We lost by 3.
And he still almost won. That's crazy. Yeah,
It was that Bill Belton touchdown with like 2 minutes left that ended up putting them ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, Penn State easily, no doubt in my mind. Good quarterback play, good running back play, good defense. But I'm gonna take Villanova with the points. I mean, 29.5. Villanova blew out Lehigh 47-3, blew out Bucknell 55-3. I like the points there for Nova, and the little Pennsylvania little rivalry they got going on. I mean, screw it.
Yep.
Why not?
They're another good FCS team. The next game is Notre Dame playing against Wisconsin. I believe this one takes place at like Wrigley Field or something. It's definitely not. It's either that or Soldier Field. One of those. Let me double check. But
Soldier Field.
Yeah, they're playing at Soldier Field. Wisconsin's a 5.5-point favorite. I think Wisconsin's pretty underrated, and I think Vegas kind of agrees. So I'm going to take Wisconsin with the points here. I think they ended up overwhelming Notre Dame. Notre Dame hasn't really had a tough schedule so far.
Yeah, I don't know anything about spreads, or I'm not picking with spread against spread, but I'll go Wisconsin. Like you said, I think they're underrated, and I just can't pick. I can't pick Notre Dame. So.
Gio, so I'm telling you, you're third. We're making this list. It's Mike, Chris, and you.
Yeah, perfect. I think Notre Dame. I mean, they had the close game versus Toledo. So I think the quarterback he's not bad. I don't mind. Yeah, I don't think he's the best quarterback in the nation. So, and I think Wisconsin, kind of like you said before, was kind of a little underrated right now. So I'm gonna take Wisconsin as well. I think they're a good team. I think it's going to be a good game, though. I do think it's going to be a good game. So 5 points it's tough for me to pick on either side.
I'm going Notre Dame. Jack Cohn, 8 touchdowns already, 2 interceptions. Graham Mertz, 0 touchdowns. The hype behind him is too much, I think. And I really like Jack Cohn, New York native. So I've talked to him in the past as a recruit. Really nice kid. So I'm going Notre Dame. That's
against his former team. Maybe he has some extra juice for that.
That's true.
That is
Jack
true.
Cohn also almost Rutgers quarterback.
Yeah,
very close.
Very close. If it wasn't for Brian Kelly and crew, and maybe John McNulty had a little say in that one.
Yeah.
Yep. So the next game is Minnesota is hosting Bowling Green. They're 31.5-point favorites. I think Minnesota kind of rolls in this one. They're playing a team that's severely undermatched them. I also think Minnesota's kind of underrated too. They played a couple tough games this year. Opening against Ohio State kind of sucks, and they caught them at a bad time of the year. So that's my pick.
Yep, I'll go Minnesota as well. They played tough with Ohio State. They rolled over their last opponent. I'm blanking. I watched a little bit of it, but I can't think of it. But I'll go Minnesota.
Yeah, me too. I'll take Minnesota too. I mean, should be a pretty easy game for them, so they can get going into the Big Ten pretty well.
Yeah, Minnesota PJ Fleck's offense is ridiculous. Trayson Potts is really nice at running back. Both defenses suck, but Bowling Green sucks more. So Minnesota.
Have those rumors died down of Fleck and USC? Because I saw that.
No comment. It's either Fleck, it's Franklin one day. It's who's the other one? Luke Fickell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think yeah,
Fickell,
Fleck's got the personality for LA, so does Franklin. I think Fickell would be, I think he'd kind of be like a Clay Helton like personality. So I know the former Cincinnati AD is also the AD of USC now. So there's a connection there. Fickell's a much better coach than Helton, but he's not a rah-rah type guy like Fleck and Franklin are.
Yeah, but those two are like rah-rah because they're great recruiters. I feel like you don't really, it's USC, it sells itself. You don't really, I could walk into any LA school as the head coach of USC and I'm getting a commit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Talking out of my ass.
I don't disagree, but I think that typically when like a new coach is brought in, it's like it's like when you break up with your girlfriend, the next girl is like completely opposite. It seems to be that way for coaches too. Yeah, always. So the next game is Ohio at Northwestern. Somehow Northwestern's a 15.5-point favorite here. I think they're arguably the worst team in the Big Ten this year. Ohio hung. I think Ohio played against Penn State earlier this year. Or no, it was Syracuse, sorry.
Yes,
they lost. I was thinking there was a connection there. I'm going to take Ohio with the points, but I think Northwestern ekes this one out.
Yeah. I'll say Northwestern wins. They came back a little bit against Duke last week. Ohio's 0-3. They've lost to, a bunch of teams already, obviously. But I'll take Northwestern.
Yeah, same for me. I'll take Northwestern too, even though they've been struggling and they don't look as well. I still don't take them over Ohio for sure.
Yeah, I mean Northwestern, and I take the points too. Both Ohio's giving up 436 yards per game. That's awful. But then again, Northwestern's giving up 412. So it's like what? It's the battle of the shit defenses, and then you just kind of pick one, and one's going to survive.
I'll give the edge to the coaching at Northwestern.
Yeah, Fitzgerald's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next game is Colorado State at number 5 Iowa. Iowa's a 23.5-point favorite here. I think Iowa might be a little bit of fool's gold. They're pretty good. Don't get me wrong. But I think they haven't really played anyone outside of Iowa State this year so far. So I'll take Iowa, but I think they're going to be on upset alert all year.
Yeah. I'll take Iowa as well. I know I said I wasn't going to pick with the spread or against the spread, but I'll take Iowa to win the game, but Colorado State to cover.
I think Iowa at number 5 is a little too high for me. I think they're a great team, though. The Iowa State game was, obviously they made some great plays on defense versus them, and they kind of controlled the game after that. But I think they are a little overrated right now. But I still will have them to win this week for sure.
Man, a lot of Iowa hate in this chat here.
I mean, they haven't really scored. The offense isn't. Really
no, I agree with you, but I mean their defense is pretty good. But we're talking about Steve Adazio, almost Rutgers head coach Steve Adazio at Colorado State. There was a chance. I'm taking the points with Colorado State, but Iowa obviously is going to roll.
Yeah.
The next game is our first Big Ten tilt of the week. It's Illinois at Purdue. Purdue's an 11.5-point favorite. I think Illinois is fighting for the bottom of the league with Northwestern. I think Purdue stomps them in, honestly. That's all I got to say about this one.
Yeah, I'll go Illinois with this one. We'll see. I know
straight up. Nice.
Maybe maybe Art Sikowski, comes off the bench again and leads the Illini to the win.
Hey, listen, if that happens, I'd be great to see that. I've been watching their games religiously because Art's one of my guys. Like I love him. We still talk, and so I obviously hope they do well. But I think they've been, kind of all over the place to start the year. It's been tough. Obviously, I mean, having Art not start the year and then having him come in and then kind of everything just looks like it's kind of chaos right now. So I think they need to settle in. Maybe this week will be that, but I still think they might fall a little bit short. So we'll see.
This is a tough one. I mean, if we're going, this might be points again. Like if you're going to go underdog, you're going to go take the points. But overall, Purdue's offense is really, really good. David Bell's a hell of a receiver. But if you look at the stats, like Art Sikowski's clearly outplaying Brandon Peters. I know Brandon Peters missed 2 games or 2.5, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But to put up 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and what was it, 220 yards in one game, 260 in another, Art looks decent. Like if you want to win games, I'm thinking you might have to go Art over Peters. But either way, yeah, Purdue wins, but Illinois probably points.
Next game is Kent State at Maryland. Maryland's a 14.5-point favorite. Maryland, they have a ton of talent. They might have found their quarterback. I think Talia is like the number 2 rated quarterback on PFF.
That's the first time anyone's ever called him Talia in front of me. It's always to his brother.
So yeah, I was gonna say to his brother, but yeah, he
never knew how to.
They're just like. They're just so undisciplined, but they have so much talent. I think they're probably better than they're going to be playing this year, if that makes sense. I think they'll cover against Kent State. I'm going to pick Maryland, but I think they're a team that we could exploit again because they are so undisciplined when we play them later in the year. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Yep, I'll go Maryland as well. Like you say, when Rutgers plays them, later in the season, it's going to be a toss-up game. Rutgers is going to need that. For to possibly reach a bowl game down the line, but for this one against Kent State, I'll take Maryland. But you can't take Kent State lightly. I remember Kent State beat Rutgers a couple years ago. So
oof.
That was the Dree Archer game.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
I'll take. I'm going to take Maryland too. I think Tua's brother is a good quarterback. I think he's good. I think he has a tremendous amount of potential. So I'm going to take them. Pretty easily.
That was before you, Gio, right? That Kent State game.
Yeah, that's 2012. That was the game that we were undefeated going into that game.
Yeah,
and we lost.
Really?
Yeah, that was Gary Nova's 6 interception game, and still
didn't take him out or anything. It was
that was
they didn't take him out.
No, they kept him in. That was insane. I couldn't believe
that. And then
they
kept throwing too.
He had to be hung over or something. Like I couldn't believe it. Like anyway, yeah, this kind of has the Rutgers Kent State type vibes to this game, just because Kent State's 2 losses are against number 5 Iowa and number 6 Texas A&M. So it's like they have a shot. So this is another tough one, but Maryland's offense is really good. Tua's brother, because I don't know how to pronounce his first name, is pretty darn good. They have 3 receivers in Demas, Jarrett, and Jones, who are all studs, averaging over 12 and a half yards per catch. So, I mean, I go Maryland, but points are interesting. I don't know if I would touch that one.
This game kind of reminds me of last week, Western Michigan versus Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh has a great offense, but Western Michigan came out and they kept scoring points and they kept scoring points. And the only reason I know this is because I had Pittsburgh and they lost me a shit ton of money and I'm pissed off about it still.
They have sports books in Germany?
Huh?
They have sports books in Germany?
Of course.
Oh, nice. All right. You can't beat that. What's your go-to sports book app, I guess?
Well, back home, it's FanDuel.
Oh, gosh. I get the Barstool one.
I don't mind Barstool, but for some reason, like when I'm looking at my parlays I got going, FanDuel just appeases my eye a little bit more. And I just like to make sure. I don't know.
I can get that. I understand.
FanDuel's same game parlays are way better than any of the others.
Yeah, they are. They're great.
That's a different one.
So the next game we got is Nebraska at number 20, now ranked Michigan State. Michigan State's 4.5-point favorites in this one. This one has like a weird stink to it for me. I don't know why that line is so low. Like Nebraska put up a good fight against Oklahoma, but in their other games, they didn't really look good. And that was a big rivalry game. I think Michigan State might be a little bit of smoke and mirrors too. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Michigan State, but I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think they cover the 4.5. I'm going to go Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I'll take Michigan State. Nebraska, I mean, I'm not sure what they are. They played well against Oklahoma. The other 2 games were kind of so. They lost to Art in Illinois in week 1. Michigan State, they have talent. So we'll see. But I'm going to guess. I think I know where Gio's going to go, but we'll see.
Well, to me, it looks like Michigan State's more on track with with Tucker this year. It looks like, I mean, at least from what I've seen so far, they obviously played good versus Miami and kind of surprised some people. But like you said, Nebraska played good versus Oklahoma. They really did. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think Michigan State's still going to squeak it out, though.
Yeah, it sounded like a homer pick, but we'll ignore that. Anyway, no, this is the second game in a row where a quarterback has 9 touchdowns and no interceptions, and that's Peyton Thorne of Michigan State. I think you easily go Michigan State. They're averaging 6.8 yards per carry too. They have good receivers. Their top defensive guy, safety Xavier Henderson, leads the team in tackles, which is kind of crazy, but also leads them in interceptions and pass deflections. I think you go Michigan State, no question.
And Michigan State, I think, is led by a transfer running back who we were also involved with. I think his name's Kenneth Walker, right?
Yes, Kenneth Walker. Is he there?
Yeah,
he is there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been dominating for them. Like, he's just completely like lighting up the box score.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. 493 for 57 carries, 5 touchdowns. I mean, how do you? And plus, Scott Frost sucks as a coach, clearly. So I mean, he's done after this year. If they keep him, I'll be shocked. But yeah, you go Michigan State easily.
So our next game is Akron at number 10 Ohio State. Ohio State's a 49-point favorite in this. Like, Ohio State's looked legit like shaky this year in every game they played. Like last week they played Tulsa. Tulsa was within 7 points with 3 minutes left. I'm going to take Ohio State to win. I'm going to take Akron with the points, though. I don't think Ohio State beats anybody by 49 points this year.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll take Ohio State, but then I'll take Akron with the points. They're still, the more talented team. Maybe Akron gets up, playing in-state team. But yeah, I'll go Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State, obviously, I mean, they've looked flat the whole year. I'm not sure whether it's having a new quarterback like Shroud in there. I know he's young too, and maybe that's the thing. But maybe this might be a game for them to continue. Like, this is a second game in a row where they should just steamroll their opponents. Maybe this is again where they have a game where they can kind of keep momentum going a little bit and try to get going and maybe just blow this team out and back to the same old Ohio State that it was. But yeah, Ohio State for sure, and I'm going to take the points.
There's probably only one way that this Ohio State team makes the playoffs, and you're going to have to win out and you're going to have to blow out teams, especially this Akron one. So I don't think the spread's super crazy because Akron's 1-2. They kind of suck already. So, but if you, like I said, Ryan Day is going to be pissed off. They should not have had that loss for Oregon. And CJ Stroud's going to come out firing. Chris Olave is going to get 2 touchdowns. Trayvon Henderson is going to get some nice snaps. I know I like Master Teague. I don't know how I don't use him more at running back, but overall, I think this is going to be a blowout. They average like 538, 540 yards per game. Like they should blow them out. 49 is a lot, but I think Vegas kind of always knows. So it's like, I'd probably take the points there just for fun.
All
Why
right.
not? Small bet. No big bets there.
The next game, Indiana is playing at Western Kentucky. Indiana is an 8.5-point favorite. Indiana is another team that had super high expectations coming in this year. They've kind of let a few people down. Michael Penix might not be fully healthy. There's some questions about whether his knee was re-injured recently. I think that they still cover this. But what do you guys think?
I'll go Indiana with the points. They still have Michael Penix Jr. Indiana did play pretty well against Cincinnati last week. Kind of go back to the sports betting thing. I picked Indiana in the parlay, so that kind of broke my parlay last week. But we'll see. I like Indiana.
Yeah, I'll take Indiana too. Kind of like you said, Mike, like they came in this season, everyone was pretty high on them, especially Penix, the quarterback. He had a good year last year. So for them to come out kind of how they've come out this year has kind of been a little disappointing for them, I'm sure. So maybe this is a game kind of like Ohio State where they can kind of get back on track and see if they can get going for the season. So I'll take Indiana.
I so badly want to pick this upset, like really badly, because Western Kentucky averages 530 yards of offense per game, but I can't do it after facing Army last week. That I forget if it was who said it. There was a crazy stat out there under either the Schiano era or Flood era, where every time there was like 9 games in a row, the week after they play Army, the most I think the teams were 0-9. So it's like that Army offense with the chop blocks and everything, it hurts the defense a ton. So I mean, I'm gonna have to go Indiana, but I don't know by much. Like, I really want to pick that upset though. That's a tough one.
Intriguing.
So I got.
So the last game of the week is the most important game of the week.
God.
Rutgers is playing at number 19 Michigan. Michigan's now 20-point favorite, right?
Went up
Yeah,
20
it's up
now.
to 20 now.
Yeah. So this one, my heart really wants me to say something different than what I'm about to say, but I think Rutgers stays close, but Michigan pulls away and covers. I'm going to take Michigan in this one, and it really pains me to say it, but this is just not a good matchup for Rutgers. I think we're kind of going to get tossed around on both sides of the line at some point in the second half, and it's going to probably get up to like a 21-point win by Michigan.
Yeah. I'll go Michigan with the points. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the run game is just too strong. I think, potentially missing Max Melton in secondary is going to hurt as well. Michigan's rolling right now. The offensive line, I think is going to, win out against the Rutgers D line. And the Michigan defense is playing really well right now also. I think potentially this game is going to be the toughest game compared to Ohio State on the schedule. So I'll go Michigan on the road against Rutgers with the points.
Yeah, Michigan, they have a lot of hype around them right now. They have a lot of hype. A lot of fans are feeling great about their chances this year. Maybe to finally beat Ohio State, to finally have some legitimate success under Jim Harbaugh. But I honestly still think they aren't as good as they've shown, aren't as good as we think they're going to be. I know it's 20 points is a lot to me, and it's tough to go against RU. And I don't, it's just not in my DNA to do that. But I still think it's going to be, it's tough to play. It's obviously a tough environment to play in. Like the Big House is intimidating to play. But I think it's going to be a close game. I really do. I think we have a good team this year. I think obviously we're very well coached, and being 3-0, that's got to be a pretty good vibe for a lot of these players, because we haven't really had that feeling in a long time of being 3-0 going into a big game like this. So, I'm not sure how guys are going to react to that. Like, is it going to give them more energy, more momentum? Are they really going to, play up to their level now? So I think it's going to be a close game. So I'm going to take Rutgers in the points.
Let's go.
I could take Michigan. Or Rutgers, but I'm definitely taking points with Rutgers for sure.
Love it.
Interesting. I'm gonna do the complete opposite. I'm picking Michigan and the points. This running game is ridiculous. It's so hard to prepare for one running back that's really good, but let alone two in Corum and Haskins. They're both averaging 8.5 and 5.7 yards per carry. And then let's not forget Cade McNamara, who threw for 260 on Rutgers last year and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. This offense is probably going to dominate in terms of the run game. And then the defense. I told you that defensive line led by Aiden Hutchinson is going to dominate a Rutgers offensive line that's still very questionable. Like I said before, they move him around on both edges, and then they put him in the interior at times. And for an offensive line that's been struggling and hasn't really decided who their left and right tackle are going to be yet, it's scary to think about the guy that has 3.5 sacks. And I think Mike said it before. I think he's rated number 1 in PFF or number 2 or something.
Yeah, he's the number 1 edge rusher in the FBS.
Yeah, so it's like against arguably one of the worst offensive lines in FBS. No offense, but I'm Michigan points 35-13, something like that.
All right.
I think that's 22.
All right. So Gio, I just want to ask you one more thing. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit before. But when you were playing and it was Michigan week or Ohio State week or something like that, when obviously that Ohio State or whatever is favored by a lot, they're more overall, have more talent and whatever. What was practice like? Knowing that it could potentially be ugly. Obviously, I know you have you're a competitor and you think you're going to win, but just what was that like?
Well, of course, I think it's. You're really hyped to play those type of games. Like you're really excited to go to Ohio State and play Ohio State. It's just a matter of the fact that you have to get over the fact that it's Ohio State, that they're ranked number 3 in the country, number 2 in the country at the time, So obviously that week going up to the game, it's awesome. You're excited, and it's just, it's just tough because you get into the game and it's Ohio State and they're beasts and they're huge, and Chase Young's lining up against you. So you're like, so it's cool at the same time. But I think, where we struggled is just like, we really were like, oh, it's Ohio State. It's Michigan. It's Penn State. And I think we kind of just laid down a little bit to that. but it's definitely a really cool week.
Thanks. Yep.
Also, what was it like playing in the big house? You were there a couple times. You started a game
Yeah, I
there.
started 2017 in the big house. That's probably one of the best memories I have, like, starting, just because obviously growing up in Michigan, like the big house is, that's like the holy grail of football growing up. You're like, oh, the big house, 110,000 people, like, and being able to start there and play there in my home state was one of the best football memories that I have, for sure. It's pretty special to me.
Gio, I got a really random one for you. You played at De La Salle,
Yeah.
correct?
I did.
Were you part of that viral video of the guy who was like freaking out and I got my swagger back?
That was the year after.
Ah.
Yeah, I missed him, but I did know him. I do know him. I do know him.
So you
He's
did
a
it off
clown.
video and you would have went viral. I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah. He's a clown. It's so funny how that went viral, and they won the state championship that year too, which is pretty cool.
Really?
So the year after I left, of course.
Of course.
Was Shane Morris there when you were there at any point?
Yep, he was there. Yeah, I backed him up for 3 years, and then started my senior year. Yeah. We went to middle school together too. So
Oh, that's
Nice.
wild.
yeah.
And you played against him in Michigan too.
Played against him in Michigan, and a couple of guys in Michigan I played against from that went to high school with me too. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, that week was fun for me.
You still talk to them, talk smack heading into this weekend?
Yeah. I talk to them every once in a while. They're kind of doing their own thing right now, but yeah, I talk to them.
You shoot them a text yet saying like, hey, like you're gonna lose?
Well, I like to come out once Rutgers wins, and then I come out and I attack. Like
There
right
you go.
now I gotta lay low, because if I start hyping up RU and then we end up losing, then I look bad. But if I hit them up after we win, it's just more fun for me.
Hey, can't beat
Totally.
that, man.
Nice.
All right, I got nothing else. We got anything else, guys?
No,
Yeah,
I really appreciate you coming on, Gio. I
Yeah.
don't know what time it is there, but it's definitely a lot later than here. I want to wish you luck on you got the semifinals coming up for your league this weekend, you said?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Good luck there.
man.
Hopefully you stay safe. Hopefully you win. We'll be keeping we'll
Sure.
post an update on the board, I guess,
100%.
when we get
Yeah.
the results of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for
Oh, no
coming on,
problem.
Gio. I appreciate that.
But
All right. And this
we're
has
good.
been
All
episode
right.
1 of the Night Report podcast. This is Mike, and we are out.